Come on now. 60%. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Belichick's Bitches podcast, the number one podcast in the world by some sort of metric. Using the best source, the only source. Do trust me. I'm your host, Brennan, as along with me, as always, is my co host, Tyler.
Yes, and what a wonderfully sloppy week of football we had.
Very, very sloppy.
And
This is just a sloppy season.
yeah, it is. And, oh man. So let's start with the best news of the week. And I hate to say that after someone loses their job, but I think
This
if
has
you're
been a
fan
long
of
time
watching-
coming.
Bill O'Brien was finally fired by Houston. This happened yesterday. And he started off the season 0-4. They did have one of the hardest schedules to start the season.
But they
Some
didn't
people
look
thought it was
good.
unfair to fire him. But this has been brewing for a while.
Yeah.
It isn't just we started 0-4, we're just going to fire him. Bad trades, Hopkins trade just to be one of many. And a fun fact, since they're 0-4, they don't even have their first or second round pick this year. They lost it in the Laramie Tunsil trade.
Yep.
So their highest pick is a third rounder. Yeah. Houston's rebuild looks like it's going to be a long one. They have a quarterback for it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, they have quarterback and a tackle. Actually, two tackles.
I mean, yeah, and the offensive line's actually become one of the stronger parts of the team.
Surprisingly, because that used to be a terrible unit. That unit used to be terrible.
But the defense is definitely losing its spark. And
their defense is very old. Besides like Justin Reed and Zach Cunningham.
But those guys, that's the thing. A good defense takes 7 to 10 good pieces, or pieces that are utilized well. You can have the superstars, but you need to have a better supporting cast, and they don't have that anymore. So Houston is not looking good this season. I don't think they're going to finish with more than 5 wins. Romeo Crennel is going to be the interim head coach. I think he's got some coaching experience. So,
yay.
Again, the way I see it, anything's better than O'Brien at this moment.
Yes.
He easily had lost the locker room, but I don't know if you saw this. Hopkins actually tweeted out shortly after the news broke. He said, "Wish no." I don't know the exact quote. It was like, don't wish bad on no man," or something like that. But they definitely had you could definitely tell they had some beef.
Oh yeah.
Disagreements. And that trade, I understand. Like, David Johnson has looked okay his first few games, but that trade is unacceptable. To trade top 2.
They didn't even try and shop him. That's the real crime. They didn't even try and shop him, see what other offers they could get. They just went with basically the first offer.
And then it was you could tell it was a lowball offer from a team that knew that Bill O'Brien would probably bite on it. So it's gonna be a long rebuild. They're gonna have to find a new GM. They're gonna have to find a new coach.
Yes.
And they're gonna have to find something that fits with Watson. That should be the priority: is who fits with Watson. There's rumors that Dabo Sweeney could be involved. I don't think there's any truth to that. I don't think Sweeney will leave Clemson unless he's getting
big
John
money.
Gruden level contract.
Yeah.
I'm talking about $100 million, 10% of the company type. What Gruden got. So I don't think you're going to see that. So, but you have to think the happiest person about this is Watson. I just feel bad that he's in Houston. Poor guy. But hey, who knows? Maybe they'll turn it around with him.
Hopefully they'll turn it
Another
around,
coach
because I actually kind of like Deshaun.
Dude, yeah, like when we were doing our quarterback rankings, you and me had them both in the top. I think we both had them in the top 10. I think one of us had them in the top 5.
I think
I
we
had
both
him near the top 5.
Yeah, we both had him just like right outside the top 5. I'm pretty sure.
And he definitely makes that Houston team a lot better than they are. Without Watson, that team is just like the Jets.
Oh yeah.
And so hopefully, Watson will eventually get him a few wins because, well, he's that good.
Looks like my prediction of 6 wins is looking pretty good.
Yeah, it is. I think we both had him under 500.
Oh yeah, I think we did. We'll have to double check later.
Another coach that's on the hot seat that somehow
Hasn't been
has
fired yet.
escaped firing. Dan Quinn. We talked about it last week. They went out on Monday Night Football and they looked just as bad. They put up a little bit of a fight in the first quarter. Then they had, in my opinion, what was the most Dan Quinn moment of the season. Down 7 in the first. They went for it like 4th and 3 at like the 40-yard line. The opponent's 40, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense. The analytics say go for it, right? Okay. And then they get like a 4th and 2 on the 10, and they go for it. And so then they get a 4th and goal on the 5, and then they kick a field goal. You've already gone for it twice. Like, you've already gone for it twice. You might
You
as
have
well
you have a great offense. Just
you
do
might
it.
as- and we'll come back to this later. I know this is
If
really
you fail,
simple
they're
idea.
inside their own 5-yard line unless you turn over the ball.
More teams I've noticed are trying to and maybe this is just me being an idiot, but I've noticed in the red zone, more teams are trying to really complicate things when it shouldn't be that complicated in the red zone.
Yeah.
They're drawing up these elaborate plays. I mean, you have the best jump ball receiver in the league. Just throw it up to him.
That's been Atlanta's problem for so long. They have a physical freak in Julio Jones. You know what? When we're in the red zone, just don't throw it to him. Just don't throw it to our 6'4", 6'5" receiver. Just don't throw it to him.
Who can jump out of the building, and and we'll come back to that. Just throw it up to him because the red zone it's not supposed to be easy. You need to simplify it, and oh man,
It's frustrating.
It's frustrating because whenever you see a team in the red zone and you see a really tall receiver 1-on-1 with a 6-foot corner, go to it.
Yeah.
Play the height. Teams
There's no reason not to. If you take that chance, it's most likely an incompletion anyway.
And even if it's picked, I don't think anyone's going to blame you for going to your 6'5" jump ball receiver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your Hall of Fame receiver. Your Hall of Fame 6'5" receiver.
That's a really dumb idea to throw it to that 5-inch height difference. I don't know. Maybe again we're idiots, but anyway. It's frustrating.
For sure, the analytics would support us.
I had to turn the game off after it. I turned the game off in the first quarter after he kicked that field goal. It was game over. Yeah. You just said pretty much you're willing to take risks to a point, and then they just say, "Oh no, we're going to take a risk. We're just going to play conservative. We're 0-3, and we're going to play conservative."
I know we talked about the Falcons so much last week, but Arthur Blank, come on, man. Yeah. Just bite the bullet.
He's one of the more patient owners in the league.
To a fault.
Really help you. That can really help you. No, it probably helped him, in the Mike Smith days. Not really. And then kind of in the Dan Quinn. But then now, after that Super Bowl, Dan Quinn hasn't been the same coach. I don't care that they went 11-5 the next season. The last 2 or 3 years, they've been complete mediocre.
Yes. It's been all the defense's fault, which is what Dan Quinn's specialty is supposed to be.
Like, I'm concerned about who's going to hire Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator. When he does get fired, if not when he does who's going to hire him as a D coordinator? His defense hasn't been good since Super Bowl 51, which was 3 years ago.
The Jets.
But it's that soft zone philosophy. I know it's like a punching bag at this point, amongst people, but it don't work. It don't work, especially against Aaron Rodgers. To beat Aaron Rodgers, you have to try to either rattle him, or get him on a one-on-one, and make his receivers beat you.
Yeah.
And they just let. Oh my god, it's so frustrating because I know I'm not supposed to like Atlanta, but I want to watch good football, and watching Atlanta it's painful. Not even as someone who's rooting against Atlanta, every time they get the ball, it's painful.
I mean, and you're like in the Atlanta, New Orleans kind of zone, so you get most of their games too.
I do. I get a lot of. I lived in it. I lived in Georgia for 15 years, and let me tell you, I watched a lot of Atlanta games. And it's not fun. Anyway, I watched them when they were really bad too.
How do you think I felt having to grow up the early 2000s Raiders? Well, like mid 2000s Raiders.
That's even worse. Holy God!
Because that was my dad's team. It's like, I just want to watch cartoons. I don't want to watch the Raiders lose. I don't care.
I just want to watch cartoons. I used yesterday's Monday Night Fiasco to catch up on my YouTube backlog. So, Okay, so another quarterback. Let's just dog on the quarterbacks. Derek Carr. I have been one of Derek Carr's biggest, not supporter, but like kind of apologist. I'm saying he's got. I always kind of use the thing. He's got everything. It's just he needs to put it together. He's not putting it together.
No.
It's been 6 years, and he just he. It's got to be a confidence thing. What I've seen,
I don't
maybe
know
I'm
what
wrong.
else it could be.
It's got to be a confidence thing
Like for him not to
because
push the
on
ball
third
downfield
down,
with some of his receiving threats is, and the quality of his offensive line is good. Why is he just checking down? I have no
I
clue.
don't know, and to just see these really decent threats on at Oakland just not being able to get the ball. I mean, Darren Waller, the reason he's getting so utilized is because he only runs the routes that are under 10 yards. Because Carr cannot throw medium to deep. Teams are starting to realize that. I mean, you kind of saw it in the New England game where we were double teaming the checkdowns.
Yeah.
That's what Buffalo did. They double teamed his checkdowns and they forced him to throw deep, and they scored 16 points. I think Chucky has been a really good, like he's adapted really well.
Yeah.
Been really happy with his adaptation to today's game. I'll be honest,
Gruden
when he
has
got
been
hired, I didn't
surprising
think it was
me.
going to work.
Yeah, same.
But it's Carr is just putting this handcuff on him and saying, "Hey, you have a really good idea for an offense and a really good idea for a team. I can't execute it." No, I think this is Carr's last year in Oakland. I think I read there's a way out of his contract after this season.
There probably is. I'd have to double check that. The problem is who you're going to replace him with, because they're not going to be bad enough to get a top 10 pick and go after a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields.
I think this would be more of a trade up scenario. I think they would be like if I had to make a short list of teams that I think are primed to trade up for a quarterback, Oakland would be one. They've shown to be aggressive with trades.
Yeah, especially with
they
Gruden.
traded away a fourth round pick, Lynn Bowden, to Miami. I mean, they
Third
traded a
round pick.
fourth round rookie. That's third round pick. That's rare. That's aggressive. So I think they've shown that they can be aggressive. I don't think they would shy away from doing that. So we'll see.
Actually,
I kind of feel bad for Oakland because I feel like they have a really good core there. It's just they need to find a way to either utilize Carr or need to get him out of there.
technically the Raiders do have an out this year for Carr's contract. If
Yeah.
they cut him, this year. If they cut him tomorrow, they incur $8 million in dead money, but they save $14 million.
Hmm.
And in 2021, it's only dead money of 2.5, and they save $20 million.
Yeah, so this definitely is looking like Carr's last season, and I think part of it, which kind of symbolized it, this was in the second quarter. It was just when I turned the game on, and the Bills got really confused on defense, and they lined up in box formation, just against a normal 3 receiver set. They put 8 guys in the box. Carr saw it and looked up at Gruden and called a timeout. Remember, each one of his receivers had a one-on-one. Again, they're in box formation.
Yeah.
And Chucky lost his shit. I mean, he lost it, and I think he said something like, "Want me to get Nathan in the game?" Referencing Peterman.
At least Peterman will throw the ball deep.
Yep. So it's something that I think it's something to keep track of on the season. Oakland has the talent. They're going to go as far as Derek Carr let them. And
Actually,
I don't know, man.
I'd actually seen something interesting earlier. Now that we're talking about that, it just brought it back up in my mind. I saw a report about scouts visiting Trey Lance's game against Central Arkansas. The Raiders sent 2 scouts to that game, or sending 2 scouts to that game.
Interesting. That's interesting.
I believe the Bills also did, and I think the Vikings did as well.
Bills, that's interesting. I guess you always have to do your homework.
Yeah. Especially on quarterbacks.
All right, let's stop dogging on quarterbacks and let's give some praise. Tom Brady had a hell of a game. So he started the game off with a pick six, and I was like, "Oh wow, Brady, you suck." Not really, but I mean, he like you said, like you predicted, he's been throwing a lot of picks in the new scheme,
Yes.
trying to get the timing down with his receivers. Something clicked at halftime. Brady, he started just connecting with everybody. Him and Mike Evans have started to find a connection. It's looking really deadly. And Scotty Miller, I'll give you your credit.
I was
Scotty
just about
Miller
to
had
say,
another.
yeah.
He's like being really sneaky. He's not getting 100-yard games. He's getting like these 4 to 5 catch games for 80 yards.
Yep.
Every single week.
Yep.
I think he's got like 3 touchdowns too.
No, he only has
And
one.
only has one. Oh, okay.
He has one
But
touchdown, but he has 250 yards on 15 receptions
that's pretty good. And so
and 9 first downs.
yeah, he's definitely earned Brady's trust on, especially on third down. But Brady looked really good. He ended up throwing 5 touchdowns. Damn. He looked good. I'm kind of I have mixed feelings on. I kind of wish that was for us, but at the same time, no, especially after this game. But I'm happy that he's kind of proven it that it wasn't entirely Belichick. He's doing really good. So if he keeps it up, now that's the thing. Can he keep it up? I don't know. But he had a good game. Herbert had another pretty decent game too. I think his completion percentage was in the 70s.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure. I have to double check. But he was hanging in there with Brady. But I think the experience kind of prevailed on that one. Herbert's had 3 starts. He's 0.
He had like a
0-3.
really boneheaded interception at the end of the game. From what I
and that's
saw.
something.
Yeah, he had 80% completion percentage, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Hey man, he's performed a lot better than I think you and me both thought.
No, he's definitely taken huge steps mentally, because that's what I needed to see from him in college, and he never really showed, was the mental taking the next step, especially under pressure. And he's been pressured, like, I think I saw a stat from PFF. I think it was during his time at Oregon. He was pressured every. I don't remember what it was. Crap. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay. And while you're looking that up, another thing to think about. This is his 5th offense fifth offense in 5 years. It's 5th and 6, 5 and 6. Sorry. His first 2 years in Oregon, he had the same coordinator. Then they switched coordinator every single year until he graduated. And then he has a new coordinator this year. This is a 5th offense he's learning in 6 years. So who knows? Maybe once he actually gets comfortable with one of these offenses, maybe that's when he's going to finally start showing it. He's looked really good so far. He's kind of gotten a little unlucky with the games he's been getting in. Hopefully, Chargers can, get it together.
Okay, I found it.
AFC West has really not looked as good. And a lot of it's due to injuries and the Broncos injury woes, and the Chargers have just been the Chargers.
Denver practice squaddies?
Oh boy.
Just like my fantasy team.
I'm back to, I think I'm like 2-2 now. I actually won the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I won the first week against you, and now I'm 1-3.
That's what you get. That's what you get for taking my advice.
All right, I found the stat. So Justin Herbert pressure drop packs per game. At Oregon, he was only having 7.7, and people were questioning his decision making under pressure. And to show he really took the next step in the NFL, he's performing this well thus far in his very young career. So keep that in mind. But he's being pressured. His pressure dropbacks per game for the Chargers, 16.3. So over twice the amount he's being pressured per game. But yet he's excelling more than he ever did under pressure in college.
Jeez. Insane. And that Chargers offensive line has just not improved. And it's that the trade for Russell Okung has definitely not paid off. The Carolina completely finessed them in that trade.
No, they didn't. Oh. They didn't trade Russell.
Oh, no, wait.
They traded away Russell Okung and got the guard.
Okay. I got that. Okay, you know what? Ignore me. Should I just get the Band-Aid off and just get it through it?
Just rip it.
Okay.
Just ripping it.
So New England had their Sunday game against the Chiefs postponed until yesterday, and I kind of was hoping it wouldn't because of course, if you hadn't heard, Cam Newton got COVID. He wasn't able to play.
Asymptomatic COVID. Yes.
Thankfully, so he's gonna be a good. There's rumors he could practice and he could play this week. I doubt it. So we had to start Mr. Brian Hoyer at quarterback, and
Keyword is start, not finish.
he's Brian Hoyer, and looks somehow even worse than usual. It wasn't just the stat line. The stat line will say, oh, he just had an iffy game. The game was atrocious. Let me pull up the exact stats, because the exact stats you'll see them and you're like, oh, that's not too bad. He doesn't have it anymore. He never really had it to begin with, but he really doesn't have it anymore. Let me find out. I'll pull up the stats real quick. So he went 15 of 24, 130 yards and a pick. Now, 15 of 24, it did not feel like 15 completions, let me tell you.
No, it
So
didn't.
he took a lot of sacks.
He had like one impressive throw the entire game.
Yes, it was that one to Edelman. I don't even know how he got him in there. It was a good throw.
It was because
that was the drive.
If you had seen that they ran that same play earlier, but they had thrown it it was to the running back instead, so they were showing that same look, and Edelman just got a good read from I think it was the corner dropping down to help the running back, and it opened up that tiny window that he was able to somehow fit the ball into. I thought it was honestly going to be picked by Matthew.
And our defense held them to 6 points at halftime. Our defense played great. They kind of found a little weakness in Mahomes. It's not really a secret, but Mahomes really doesn't like it when you force him to stay in the pocket. But it's weird, but he's more comfortable when he's out of the pocket making those flashy plays.
Yeah.
He's more comfortable out there. We kind of forced him in the pocket in the first half, and he was struggling. He was overthrowing Kelsey a little bit. Couldn't really find his open guys. But again, you can only contain that Kansas City offense for so long until they finally explode.
Yeah, with the Chiefs, you got to contain, and when you contain, you got to put up as many points as you can. And if you don't, good luck.
You lose. And what happened is we held them to 6 points, but we can only score 3. And so there again, elephant in the room. There was a blown call. Got a fumble, pick, ball never hit the ground.
Yeah,
and they whistled it dead. And it's not the reason we lost, because we got the ball back then and we could have scored and we choked away a possession. It's not the reason we lost. The reason we lost is because Brian Hoyer was starting at quarterback. But what annoyed me about that call wasn't that he blew it; it's that he didn't man up to it. He came out on the reporters today and said, "Oh, Mahomes, a guy who had one guy around him, he was pretty contained and he was pretty down. He wasn't. He was still fighting. Mahomes can break sacks anyway. It's not like he's a statue. You see these all the time. These broken sacks on highlights.
I wish so many times when Von Miller was in the process of dragging Tom Brady to the ground and he threw it away, that would just been counted as a sack. That would have been great.
Oh, see, but no. And again, I would have had so much more respect for the guy. I don't know his name. I don't really care to know his name. I would have had so much respect if he would have come out and said, "You know what? I missed the call, and I'll make sure it doesn't happen again." I would have had so much more respect, but he's trying to play it off like it was such a bad call. And the reason it wasn't challengeable, and the reason Bill threw his flag, he couldn't challenge it because it was a forward progress stop, and that's not a reviewable play. So he couldn't review it. So this is something I've always thought, and I know I'm getting off track, but it's a tangent. On plays like that, where it's a questionable fumble or questionable interception, why do the refs think that split decision, they need to make the call? Let it play out as an interception and then review it, because interceptions are
I've never understood that, why they just if the ball changes hands, you let the play go on until the play is officially dead, then review it to see what actually happened. I don't understand the point of just blowing the whistle immediately.
And my thing is, and again, this is just me, is I would it's not like soccer where you can't do that because the pace of play is so fast, right?
Yes.
It's football. Pace of play is slow. Okay, and that's just one of the negatives of the sport we have to live with. So why not you take it to our advantage? You're going to get so many ad breaks. Might as well use them. I don't understand it. It made no sense. I mean, I don't. I mean, even the Chiefs fans, some of the worst fan bases on anywhere, or even where they were kind of saying, "Well, we got away with that one there." Again, it's not the reason we lost, but man up, and I think that's something that refs need to do. They need to man up more. Take responsibility for their missed calls, and they're just warming out of it. Anyways, beyond that, I'll end that tangent. So we ended up losing. Hoyer sucked. We put in Stidham. Surprising. He actually had a good first drive. One thing Hoyer wouldn't do is trust N'Keal Harry. I know I've been dogging on N'Keal Harry since we drafted him. I get it. How tall is N'Keal Harry? He's 6'5". How tall is whatever corner on the Chiefs says? Not 6'5". So twice we got to the end zone or to the red zone, and he drew up a one-on-one for N'Keal Harry, and Hoyer refused to throw it. He had him 2 times. N'Keal Harry beat his man one-on-one in the end zone. Absolutely refused to go to him. Happened twice. So what had happened with Stidham? He goes down to his first red zone trip. Guess who was wide open in the end zone? N'Keal Harry, just wide open. And then the game kind of ended after that. But so we lost, sloppy game. I think I gotta gain some confidence in the fact that we can hang with the Chiefs if we actually had Newton. Just didn't have Newton. But
very unfortunate timing.
it is that, and now we get Denver versus New England this week, and we get Brett Rippon versus Jarrett Stidham.
Undrafted quarterback from Boise State, Brett Rippon versus Jarrett Stidham.
Jarrett Stidham, who's thrown 2 pick sixes in like 13 or 15 pass attempts. So he's struggling a little bit.
But, I mean, Brett Rippon had like 3 picks against the Jets, so.
Amari Bird led the team in receiving. Amari Bird. Anyway.
You having fun there?
No, I can't say I am. Anyway, let's get off on the Patriots because I could rant for an hour about how bad that game was.
Yeah, I can tell.
So, we talked last week about Tristan Hill and that gator roll that he did on Chris Carson's leg. Well, the NFL took action.
I don't know why.
They fined him. You didn't know how much? He fined him $6,000. Like,
they didn't even suspend him. They just fined him $6,000.
And they fined him the same amount of money as a roughing the passer call. Apparently, deliberately freaking rolling on an opponent's leg to try to injure him is the same as accidentally lifting your head up when you're tackling a quarterback.
Yep.
Huh.
Or putting too much putting your body too much on the quarterback as he's falling to the ground.
Which is the most subjective BS in the league. Like, how can you in a split second determine how much weight a 350-pound man put on a quarterback? It's just a split second. Anyway, that's another debate. That's for another day. So that's gonna be just $6,000. Something so egregious is just beyond me. And it's just one of those guys who shouldn't even. I think he should be suspended for the same thing as Myles Garrett got. I think that's the level of what it was at.
Yes,
is what Myles Garrett did. It was that egregious. It was that intentional. Don't give me the momentum sob story from that Cowboys fans.
I think the only reason it's probably not is because it wasn't as like nationally broadcast or like nationally known. So,
and it was one of those things like the announcers didn't even notice it. More. Aikman, and I don't know who announces with Aikman because I think it's listen to games with Aikman. I mute any game that doesn't have Romo in it.
I think it's Joe Buck.
If the game doesn't have Romo, I mute it because it's not worth listening to. So, yeah. Again, Tristan Hill's an asshole. Let's just move on from that. So, we talked about Houston earlier in that locker room, that's in shambles right now. He didn't even want Earl Thomas.
No, the players
brought him in for a workout.
Players came out and they're like, "We do not want Earl Thomas on this team."
Which, I'm not gonna say the joke because that's not appropriate. But no, that is a good joke though. But I understand that Houston's struggling on defense, but their issues are so much more deep rooted than Earl Thomas. And I guess Earl Thomas just brings too much attention to the table. I guess that's why they don't want to bring him in. But what is Earl Thomas really going to change on that defense? I don't think
Not
it's
much at
going to be
all,
enough.
especially at safety. Not much at all.
No.
I don't think he even really fits their scheme.
So going back to the Monday night game, the Falcons, because I'm not talking about the other game because that game was ass. So we're going to do the other game, the Green Bay and Falcons game. We kind of talked about it earlier. Why did Green Bay draft A.J. Dillon again?
In the second round, too.
He's a power back, big boy out of Boston College. And they get to the goal line, they use 210-pound Jamal Williams.
And it says 6 foot 250-pound A.J. Dillon.
Yeah. Instead of someone that can run over, that looks like a Mack truck. Huh. There must be something there. I don't even know how. I mean, Dillon is pretty much now he looks like a glorified fullback. I mean, that's how much they use him.
Yeah.
Speaking of fullback, they drafted a fullback in the 6th round.
No, they drafted a fullback in the 3rd round.
Well, 3rd round, I was mistaken. Again, I'm trying to give him a break. But Aaron Rodgers is carrying that team on his back, and he's returned to form. He's looked really good. He's looked a lot better than he had the last 2 years. Maybe dumping Danica Patrick was part of that. I don't know. I know that was mean, but
nice.
As someone who watches NASCAR from time to time, and I watch Danica every Saturday for God knows how many years, and watch her finish 27th every time. Anyway, that has nothing to do with football. We'll just move on from that. Danica Patrick sucks. So
I wouldn't know.
Listen.
I don't watch NASCAR.
Even I've stopped watching NASCAR.
I never watched NASCAR.
That sport's changed. It's changed.
Ooh,
another player from New England.
Fast
I want
car
to talk about
turn
quick.
left. 300, no, because it's like 300 laps, so it'd be fast car turn left like 1,300 times. Wow.
So
how riveting.
Oh yeah. So the one Patriot that actually stood out in that game was Damian Harris. He kind of played sparingly near the end of last season. No, I don't think he did. I think he was on IR last year. This is his first game where he's actually active. Man, he looked good. 17 carries, 100 yards. A huge 40-yard run that set up on Stidham's first drive. Good drive. Good player. If he keeps playing like this, it could make Sony Michel expendable in the offseason.
How many running backs do y'all need? You got
Well,
James White, you got Sony Michel, you got Rex Burkhead, you got J.J. Taylor, and you got Damian Harris.
we have all of the quality running backs. I don't know why Rex Burkhead is so good. It's like 32, 33.
He's having a career resurgence at 32 years old.
It's his burst. On the line of scrimmage, he always makes the first guy miss. Without fail. Burkhead's just so fun to watch. But
how old is he?
So I don't know. Not many people watch this game because, it was the Rams and Giants.
He's 30.
I didn't watch the game because it was the Rams and Giants. But they played, and then it was a pretty uneventful 17-9 game. Daniel Jones threw another pick. Shocker. And so post game,
I'm fairly certain he has the most turnovers at any quarterback in the league.
Never gone a game without a turnover.
Since he's entered the league, yeah.
He's never gone a game without a turnover. Ever.
Yeah.
That's sad.
That's rough.
So
still better than Dwayne Haskins.
Again, the game was pretty uneventful. So then post game, all of a sudden Golden Tate and Ramsey were talking. I guess they were beefing throughout the game or whatever. And from what the Rams, or from the Giants players' perspective, Ramsey threw the first punch, and then there was just a huge brawl post game. NFL's probably going to fine a couple buys. They may suspend Ramsey for a game. They're going to suspend Ramsey or fine Ramsey more than for whatever Tristan Hill did. So that happened. It was the most entertaining part of the game.
That game wasn't even on my list to watch. Honestly, I didn't see any.
I didn't even get it in my area, and
I don't think I did.
Care enough to look at. I didn't even care enough to search it, the stream for it.
Yeah.
Because It's the Rams and Giants. So you want to talk about the team y'all beat Thursday night?
We beat the
Jets.
Jets. We
Can we
won a
talk
game.
about how freaking bad this Jets team is?
I mean, we made Sam Darnold look like Lamar Jackson for one play.
Well, yeah, I mean that's because your practice squad guys just didn't do enough tackling training that week because
That wasn't even that was our starters who didn't want to tackle. Alexander Johnson missed the sack. Sam Darnold sprints out of the pocket. Justin Simmons is right there. He misses the tackle. He tries to arm tackle him for some reason and just gets put to the ground. Kareem Jackson is there, a hard-hitting safety. What does he do? He just watches him walk right by. He doesn't even attempt to tackle him. It's like, what are you doing, guys? Come on.
And it's just like Dan Orlovsky, who is one of the more hit or miss guys in sports talks. He has some great takes, and then he has some takes that are just out there. And another one of those takes, he thinks that his 0-16 Lion team would beat the this year's Jets. Again, it's a great argument because you really can't prove it and you can't deny it.
Yeah,
but
and that 0-16 team had Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, and it also had Dan Orlovsky at quarterback, so.
I mean, if you have Calvin Johnson against this Jets secondary, who even Jerry Jeudy mossed, so.
I mean, yeah, and it's a fun thing. The Jets, I wrote down, are they on the 0-16 watch, in your opinion?
Let me look at their schedule real quick. I would say
if I had to give my honest opinion, if they didn't play Miami twice a year, I would say they are definitely on the 0-16 watch.
That's like the
but
only
since they play
team
Miami twice,
they could possibly lose to. Would be.
That's what I'm saying.
they could win against would be Miami.
In Miami. It's just been Miami's Miami. I mean,
depending on when Tua gets a start.
Tua, I know this is kind of a little thing. Tua is still not the starter. They named Fitzpatrick the Week 5 starter.
Yep, I heard that.
I mean, there's no reason to rush him back. It's a pretty bad season. You might as well just hold on to him.
I wonder if we could see so Drew Lock's probably earliest return is Week 6 against the Dolphins at home. It'd be cool to see that'd be Tua's first start too.
Yeah, I'm looking at this Jets schedule, and they are on the 0-16 watch.
100%.
Just some of their opponents: Rams, Seahawks, Raiders, Chiefs, Bills.
Their best bet was against us, and even we sort of struggled against. We struggled.
You play the Chargers, October 18th. 12 days, so they play maybe.
Yeah, Justin Herbert throws up a duck. Or their doctor
New England
punctures
twice.
Justin Herbert's lung.
They also have to play the Browns. The Browns look pretty good against Dallas.
Yeah,
it might have been more just Dallas.
Odell had a game, and that's not something we've said in a while.
And it's pretty shocking. It was a really well-rounded game. The defense kind of started choking there in the fourth. They allowed Dak to throw almost 500 yards.
Yeah,
which is pretty yikes. But I mean, that NFC East, man. We said it was going to be the weakest conference in the.
It's worse than we thought.
It's really bad. The Eagles are leading it right now
because they have a tie. Yes.
The 1-2-1 Eagles are leading the NFC East after 4 days.
The Eagles allowed 8 sacks in one game to the Washington football team.
Yep.
Oh, Lord.
Just like you have to ask, should they just give up their playoff spot to the NFC West? Because
can we just omit the NFC East from the playoffs entirely, please?
Yeah, just let the Rams in, or let the freaking Niners in as an exception. I mean, even the Niners haven't looked that good because injuries, but
yeah.
I mean, come on, it's sad to watch, and none of it. It's like every team's trying to give it to the other team. The Cowboys are like, no, we don't want it. I mean, just think if Atlanta was any type of competent, the Cowboys would be 0-4 right now.
They'd be 0-4 if Atlanta didn't blow that lead. And no, if Atlanta knew onside kick recovery rules, they wouldn't have that. They wouldn't. They would be 0-4.
Oh man. Oh,
If Atlanta knew what an onside kick was, the Cowboys would be an 0-4 team.
and so the Cardinals. I had the Cardinals. Like my Cardinals Panthers was like my game of the week last week. I thought that was going to be an offensive explosion. It was an offensive explosion for Carolina,
I think
not
I think I
Arizona.
was more accurate with my game of the week with the Browns Cowboys with the offensive explosions.
That one's like what 80 points combined.
Yeah, that was
Um,
crazy.
the Cardinals just didn't show up. I mean, Kyler Murray definitely had his worst game of the season. I don't know. I want to bet on this Cardinals team because I really want the team to be good. It looks like they're still maybe a year away from true like competing. They still need a few more pieces on the defensive side of the ball.
Isaiah
I think they
Simmons
needed.
is struggling. Thanks,
And
Vance
he is.
Joseph.
But it's easier for him. He's gonna be able to settle in.
I blame it 100% on Vance Joseph. Honestly,
Yeah.
with how talented that guy is, and you can't find a place to put him on your defense, Vance, come on. I'm even so frustrated with you. Even after you've been fired for the Broncos for 2 seasons, you're still finding ways to make me mad.
Well, what I don't understand.
Even Bill O'Brien, if you saw after the Broncos I think blew lead to the Texans in the last season of Vance Joseph. Like there's like a clip of the game afterward where Bill O'Brien's running onto the field, and you can see Bill O'Brien mouthing the words, "Vance, you dumb." Yeah.
It's funny. Bill O'Brien should be the last person to call someone a dumbass because, well,
No, it was worse than dumbass.
oh god, damn.
Yeah, I would have said
No.
dumbass.
Just watching freaking. It's just so disappointing to see such a talented player not get the right freaking situation to succeed. I mean, if he's not smart enough to man the defense in the middle yet, let him play, deep safety. Let him cover the, let him roam down deep. If he's not
better at
good
safety
enough
than
to
he is a linebacker. That's what he played more in college too. He played safety.
If he's struggling at safety, have him play on the weak side and let him, man the weak side linebacker spot. Let him make reads. Play. That's what I'm saying. You have to find there's literally nothing beside playing nose tackle.
You could even
Isaiah Simmons can't do.
You can even have him as a weak side blitzer if you need.
Exactly. That's what I don't understand. Is Isaiah Simmons should be one of those guys where wherever you think their best player is going, you plug them in there. Just like how the Chargers use Derwin James when they're healthy.
Yeah.
And to just see him just get stuck in the middle and not doing anything,
it's frustrating.
It's just frustrating to see talent. I mean, when Derek Brown's having a better first 4 games as a rookie on a defensive line compared to Isaiah Simmons, there's issues.
And even Derek Brown, he's only really looked good against the run, which is why I thought of him coming out. But
leads rookies and tackles for loss.
Yeah, he's looked stellar against the run, which I thought of him coming out, but he's looked much underdeveloped against the pass, which was kind of evident in college, which is why I had Javon Kinlaw over him. How is Kinlaw doing, by the way?
Kinlaw, I haven't really heard much of Kinlaw. I mean, he's on that Niners. He's probably the only notable name left on the Niners defensive line, so he's probably getting doubled every time.
Yeah. He has 4 tackles this whole season and 1 pass deflection. No, 2 pass deflections.
So, Josh Allen.
9 tackles, my bad. 9 tackles, 2 pass deflections. That's it.
Josh Allen went out there on Sunday and had another great game. Had a little injury scare in the second quarter, but came back right away. I think it was just a left shoulder injury. Yeah. Josh Allen, we need to start talking about him as a dark horse MVP.
Oh, 100%.
I think the obvious two responses are
Russell and Aaron Rodgers.
Those are the 3. They've kind of separated themselves from the next group of Mahomes has kind of struggled.
Lamar's struggled.
He's been good, but Mahomes has gotten really lucky. He should have thrown 2 picks versus New England, 2 drops.
Yeah.
Lamar has looked like he's having his quote unquote sophomore slump. He's, having
I
some
blame that
issues.
more on the play calling, to be honest. But last
Yeah,
week it looked a lot better because Lamar was actually running again, so
yeah.
that was a breath of fresh air to see. Instead of trying to force
Lamar's
Lamar to be a
legs set up. Yeah,
quarterback.
Lamar's legs set up his arm, and it's going to take him a few years before he can just stand in the pocket 60 times a game. But just yeah. So those are the three MVP guys right now, and another name that's sneaking up there. And if the Rams continue to play above expectations, Goff could sneak into that MVP conversation. He's been incredible. I've
Yeah.
been one of Goff's biggest laughs. I always call him average. So he's an average guy. He's playing way above average this year. Could just be a 1 year anomaly, but keeps doing it.
Yeah.
One of those other guys starts struggling, we may have to talk about him as the third option for MVP.
Josh Allen and Jared Goff are the two quarterbacks, 1 and 2 respectively, with the most passing yardage off play action this year. I think Josh
I think I
Allen's
saw
slightly
that.
over 600, and Jared Goff's like mid 500s.
And that's one thing about McVay is when McVay actually gets into that rhythm of play calling, where he's mixing up that run pass really well. That's where McVay is dangerous.
Yeah.
Once he finds that sweet spot of when to mix up the pass and run, he's one of the more harder guys to stop in the league.
I mean, last year they didn't really have a great running game, but now a good bunch of guys are stepping up for them.
Yeah.
Especially Darrell Henderson.
Henderson. Everyone thought it would be Akers would be the guy to take that step and to be the guy to replace Gurley. It's been Darrell Henderson for the most part.
Yeah, was with me and having like the running back that I like wait a year to actually do something because I liked Darrell Henderson coming out last year, and I was like, he's gonna be the replacement for Todd Gurley. He's gonna be great. He was quiet. There's crickets.
He
This
just
year,
needed to take it.
this year,
Yeah.
Darrell Henderson's playing good, so I don't know whether to be happy or not.
See, the Saints are one of the hardest teams to judge right now in the NFL. I can't tell whether the Saints are good, whether they're bad, or whether they're just mediocre. Because they've had moments where they look all three at the same time. And they were beating the Lions pretty handily, and then they decided to almost choke the lead at the end.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've yet to be impressed by Breeze. Everyone thought this would be the year Brady finally takes that final step off. It's been Breeze.
It's been Breeze.
Just and you can make the excuse, his weapons have decreased. Kamara is doing the work of three receivers.
Oh yeah.
And
they still have Emmanuel Sanders too. They still have Jared Cook.
Traquan Smith. Traquan Smith has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas' absence. So I don't know. I guess when they get Michael Thomas back, we'll see if maybe it was just a fluke couple games by Breeze, because he's had those kind of stretches in his career. It's nothing new. But if Michael Thomas comes back and they're still struggling to consistently score points, putting away teams, along with their defense being pretty iffy, I don't think the Saints get past the wild card round.
No.
I really don't. And who knows? Tampa Bay looks like they're going. It's just for Tampa Bay, it's trying to stay consistent.
Yeah.
If the Saints lose the NFC South,
I mean, the Saints are
really
2-2 right now.
Sorry.
So if
you
they
look at
continue to
two
struggle,
games.
they could be another one of those trade up teams.
They could,
because they've shown that they're willing to trade up for a player they like, even though it was a bust in Marcus Davenport. They still gave up a lot and went after him.
Speaking of which, where was I going with this? My mind just drew a blank. They do have Winston, and people are still high on Winston. People think that he can turn it around. Don't talk about Taysom Hill being a quarterback, please.
The Mormon missile. Taysom Hill.
People talking about Taysom Hill being the franchise quarterback of New Orleans always annoys me, because he's
just no.
He's not. He's a gadget player, and I mean, he's a cool story, but he's a gadget player.
Yeah.
So I would love to see Taysom Hill be in the league another 5-7 years, and I'm all for it. He's not going to be a quarterback. Sorry, not happening. I'm surprised there hasn't been another team that's done something similar with a quarterback project like that.
A bunch of people were expecting the Eagles to do that with Jalen Hurts, but that was just all chitter chatter that really hasn't come to fruition in any kind, really.
I think the Eagles see Hurts as a legitimate quarterback
Yeah.
option because if they really saw Wentz, and I know maybe this is going to just be talking on my butt, but if they really saw Wentz as the guy, they would be using Hurts in that way. But they haven't, you know. And could it be bad coaching? Possibly, because Doug Peterson has looked like one of the worst coaches in the league. That's saying something with how many bad coaches there are this year. Um,
Ooh.
it, you know, could it be a controversy? I don't think so. But again, man, I feel like it's saying something that they're not using Hurts like that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but they're looking at Hurts like a legitimate quarterback prospect. So, I mean, we'll see. I think that was the major storylines. There was a lot this week. We actually,
Yeah. We're at 51
um,
minutes right now.
damn, we haven't even done our sessions or our game of the week yet.
Nope.
Let's do game of the week first. Change it up. So, my game of the week. I heard you have 2 or 3 or 5, 10,
I
whatever.
have 2, just in case you take one.
I'm gonna go. Should I go off the reservations? Hold on. My mind actually just blanked. I actually have to remember who it was. Give me a second. Hold on. Got it. I promise I'm not this much of a dummy. Oh, I can't promise that. Never mind. Wait.
Do you want me to go first while you try and recollect?
Nah, I got it. Yes, here it is. Okay. So the Colts actually looked pretty good last week versus the Bears. And the
Bears.
Browns, we talked about the Browns. I'm gonna go Colts Browns game of the week.
Okay.
I think Rivers is inconsistent, but I think this is gonna be one of those weeks where he kind of steps his game up a little bit. And who knows? This could be another 70, 80 point affair, especially if the Colts receivers start clicking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that as my game of the week. It should be an entertaining game. I hope I get it down here in Mississippi.
See, I'm going to go with this game. I hate how it's a morning game. This game should really be flexed to later because it's 2 playoff teams. I'm going to go with the Bills and Titans for my game of the week.
Oh yeah,
It's a 10 a.m. Pacific time game. How is this not flexed to Sunday Night Football, or at least like one of the later slots where more people can watch it?
Oh no, are the Titans confirmed that they're going to be able to play? They have no positive tests or anything like that.
Yeah, they haven't had positive tests for like the past 2 days, I want to say, or something like that.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
And even then, if that game doesn't happen, my game of the week will be Raiders Chiefs.
That is going to be an interesting game. But because Derek Carr, if there's one team that he always plays well against, it's the Chiefs.
This is true.
Can't wait to see either both. I really can't wait. I think this week.
I think they're both in the 10 a.m. slot too currently.
That's because you live on the West Coast. Noon game.
I mean, it's still in the same time slot. Yeah, it's in the same time slot.
Yeah, I know. When you said that at first, and I was looking for the game, I'm like, is there a London game this week? I thought they canceled the London games.
That's what I was looking for. Time.
I was like, wait a minute, morning game. Yeah. So you're a college player of the week since you're so far ahead.
Only for like
Show
1 more
off.
week.
Show off.
Well, I have the luxury of being able to go ahead, unlike you, Mr. Fantasy Guy.
Yeah, I know. I wish.
Okay, so my college player of the week, it's someone that your Georgia Tech has already played against. FSU safety, Hamza Nasruddin. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. This boy is projected a 2nd round pick right now. I think he could easily get into the first. This boy is 6'4", 215. Back-to-back weeks with players with great length, as we talked about a 6'4" corner last week, or 6'3", Trey Dean. He has great length and build, obviously. He's 6'4", 215. FSU has been not great this season for college football, to say the least. But they have some pretty decent draft players, honestly. And this is like the cream of the crop of them. This is probably their best one. He's very explosive and fluid. He's a natural athlete, and I love his versatility. He's like Isaiah Simmons, sort of in his versatility, except maybe not as good as blitzing and traditional linebacker. He can play deep center field. He can play in the slot. He can play in the box. He has great pursuit angles in the run game. A great and physical tackler at the point of attack. Like he really goes after the ball carrier, and he really loves to try and strip that ball loose. And try and make turnovers at any chance he can. At least with fumbles. His cons though, he's not great at playing the ball in the air, so not expecting too many like interceptions from him. So most of his turnovers will be from fumbles. Um, he struggles against running backs in man-to-man coverage, which is an issue. Something you're going to want to see fixed up if he wants to be that like true Isaiah Simmons kind of hype that he got last year. He tore his ACL in 2019, but so far this season he's looked fine. But just something to watch. He needs to use his hands more consistently when taking on blockers to shed those blocks. But he is a ultra athletic, ultra physical, just physical freak. But he's not. He's a great
Is he
football
physical?
player. Yeah, he's really physical, man. Great football player at the same time. Projected second round pick could easily go into a first round pick with a great combine. I expect him to have a great combine. Also,
Yeah.
if you're one of those people with man leagues like you are, definitely a good target for a user.
Yes. The new meta is using safeties at linebackers because safeties give the freaking Superman jumps.
And they have
middle
much better
linebacker
change
spot.
of direction speed.
Oh my god. Jeremy Chin, bro. If you see Jeremy Chin in the opposite freaking sub linebacker spot, don't even throw it over the middle.
Dude. I remember
No, but like I know
I
that's your
remember my
draft
first
class,
time
but, like,
playing in an online league. I think I was the Panthers, and I had Jeremy Chin playing that exact position. And just because I love Jeremy Chin, he was one of my draft crushes. I just put him there. It's like, yep, I'm gonna use Jeremy Chin, and he's a beast. He was a beast. That league died very quickly.
don't talk about the league I'm in the way I just lost that last game.
Oh yeah, that was. Let's not talk about that.
I still haven't played Madden since. It's been like 2.5, 3 days. I still haven't played Madden since.
Oh, I haven't
Can't
played
even
Madden
look
in
at
a
the
long
game.
time anyway, so I don't even blame you.
Alrighty. So, fantasy. Pain, man. This season has been one of the worst fantasy seasons I can remember.
Yeah,
It's
I
been
I can agree to that.
atrocious.
I agree to that 100%.
Players are injured. The players that should be playing well are playing like absolute poo poo. And players who you would think would be averaging 4 points a game are going out for 45. It's been a season, man. It's been 2020. I'm gonna go. This game's gonna be terrible. But the Cowboys are playing the Giants, and if the Cowboys don't win, they are one of the worst franchises in history. So I'm gonna kind of cheat, but if I had to start one guy on that team, I would start Dak. I'm huge on Dak as a player. When you're playing one of the worst defenses in the league and you're angry after just losing to the Browns again, or just losing in general, he's gonna throw for about 400 yards and probably 2 or 3 touchdowns. And Zeke's also gonna be a good play because Zeke's always a good play. But,
Should probably also start the Steelers defense. They're playing against the Eagles.
oh boy. Poor Wentz, man. I feel so bad for him because it's not his fault. But
I feel like this is the story with the Cowboys every year. They're just a story of overhype every single year. Regardless of coach, they're just a story of overhype. They have talent. They just don't put it together at all. And especially this year, it's on defense. They can't put anything together.
And Cowboys fans, Earl Thomas is not the answer. You're not going to start playing like a top 5 defense when you get Earl Thomas.
If you get it.
Because Earl Thomas is going to get out there and he's going to play safety and he's going to get maybe 2 picks. He may shut down part of the field and that'll be it. And you're still going to lose by 20 every game. Sorry, it's not happening. Skip Bayless, especially, man.
It's my turn. It's my turn.
My turn. You told me you would let me.
I love that. I love that snippet so much. Alright, I think that's it for today.
Yeah. Freaking Patriots, man. I never felt so good and so bad about 2-2. I mean, we should have beat Seattle, and well, if we had Hoyer, I mean, we were like literally two
We're
little
going
things
to a
away from
Pats
being
rant
4-0.
again at the very end. We're going into a Pats rant. We doing this right now? Did you already get your
Yeah,
Pats rant?
I can't complain. I'm one of the more fucking spoiled. Sorry, my language. I'm one of the most spoiled. Part of the most spoiled fan base ever. So I can't really complain. Still gonna complain anyway because it's fun.
Yeah, so we've been going for just over an hour now. Should
All
probably
right,
call
that
it
was
here.
pretty good. Yeah, I kind of rambled a couple times on the Patriots pick as well.
Yeah, I did pretty good with my rambling this time. Seems like you were the problem.
Listen, man, I went at halftime. I went to see what alcohol we had in the fridge, and there was none.
Rip.
To go through that soap.
That's good. Not good to drink anyway. Drink water.
Watching Hoyer sober is not something I would recommend to the average person.
I mean, I did it, and it wasn't like it was the entire game. Come on now.
It was only 3 quarters. That play at the end of the freaking half where we had no timeouts, he just had to throw it to the end zone. He couldn't because he was like dancing in the pocket. Not in a good way. Like, the people that dance in the pocket, fine, but he was like jumping up and down. I don't know if you noticed that. He's just jumping up and down in the pocket. He wasn't doing anything. Man. Hopefully Stidham was decent next week. I just realized if Locke hadn't gotten hurt, we would have had our thumbnail as this game.
Yep.
Dang it, man. That sucks. Anyway, thank you guys for
I've
listening
actually
to an
thought
hour
about
of
changing
rambling.
the thumbnail, but I don't really feel like it.
Let's go with it. Let's keep the stud muffin on the logo.
You mean the stud muffin?
We're keeping the stud muffin on there, man.
Stud muffin.
Stud. You're not seeing his birth certificate. It's literally called Jarrett Stud Muffin. No, it's just it's too mean to the other players.
You sound like
so
a cringy mom talking about her son.
It's the stud muffin.
Look at this stud
that
muffin.
will forever and I don't care if he turns out to be a career backup. I will always call him Stud Muffin. Okay, always gonna happen. Just deal with it. Anyway, if you guys listen to an hour of this, I apologize because, well,
a little more of an hour thanks to Pat's rants, but
exactly. But thank you guys again for listening to the podcast. You guys should start leaving comments. I know we're talking to nobody, but you guys should start listening to some comments or stuff.
If you want to recommend stuff in comments, 100% we'll take it into account and probably talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next Tuesday as long as Brendan doesn't take another unannounced vacation. We'll see you next Tuesday on the Belichick.
Unannounced to you.